I'm Gloria Westfield, a 32-year-old art gallery curator from Boston, with a once-loving traditional Italian-American family. Growing up, I never imagined I'd be cast out based on vicious lies about me and my cousin's fiancé. The betrayal cut deeper than any knife could, destroying relationships I thought were unbreakable. For 18 months, I lived with their rejection until the truth finally surfaced. But by then, the damage was already done. Some wounds heal, but others leave permanent scars on the soul. Before I share my story, I'd love to know where you're watching from. Drop your location in the comments, hit that subscribe button, and stay with me as I reveal how my family chose a convenient lie over the daughter they raised. Family was everything to me growing up in our tight-knit Italian-American community in Boston's North End. My childhood home always smelled of my mother's tomato sauce simmering on Sundays, the kitchen filled with aunts, uncles, and cousins laughing and arguing in equal measure. My father, Anthony, worked as a contractor but had the soul of an artist. He recognized my passion for art early, hanging my childish drawings alongside Renaissance prints in our living room. "Gloria has the eye," he would proudly tell relatives. "She sees what others miss." That encouragement led me to study art history at Boston University and eventually secure my dream job as a curator at the prestigious Newbury Street Gallery. By 32, I had built a respectable career and purchased a small but charming apartment in Cambridge that I lovingly filled with artwork and family photographs. Among our extended family, my relationship with my cousin Amanda was always complicated. 3 years younger than me, Amanda grew up envying what she called my golden child status. Where I was studious and creative, Amanda was social and ambitious. She competed with me in subtle ways throughout our lives, copying my college major before switching to business, dating men I had expressed interest in, and often finding ways to one-up my achievements at family gatherings. Gloria just got promoted. Well, I just got headhunted by 3 different companies. Gloria's dating a doctor. I'm seeing someone who owns his own medical practice. Despite this undercurrent of competition, I tried to maintain a cordial relationship with her. We were family after all. When Amanda announced her engagement to Tyler Brooks, a successful attorney she'd been dating for just 8 months, I was genuinely happy for her. Tyler seemed charming, intelligent, and appeared to adore Amanda. At their engagement dinner, I watched him attentively refill her wine glass and laugh at all her stories. They made a picture-perfect couple, Amanda with her polished blonde looks and Tyler with his confident smile and tailored suits. "I think he's the one," Amanda had whispered to me that night, showing a rare moment of vulnerability. "He could have anyone, but he chose me." I hugged her tightly, hoping this relationship would give her the security she seemed to crave. "He's lucky to have you," I said, meaning it. In contrast to Amanda's whirlwind romance, my own love life was in shambles. I had recently ended a 2-year relationship with Michael, a graphic designer whose career ambitions never quite materialized. The breakup left me questioning my judgment in men and focusing more intensely on my career. As wedding preparations began, our entire family mobilized around Amanda's vision of a lavish June ceremony at St. Leonard's Church, followed by a reception at the Boston Harbor Hotel. My mother and aunts spent weekends browsing bridal magazines while my father and uncles discussed the financial logistics of such an extravagant affair. "We need to make this special," my father said. "This is the first wedding of the new generation." I was assigned to help with selecting the artistic elements, from invitations to floral arrangements, because of my good taste. Amanda accepted my help with surprising grace, though she overruled many of my suggestions in favor of more opulent choices. Meanwhile, my career was flourishing. The gallery had trusted me with curating a significant exhibition of emerging New England artists, and the opening night had drawn impressive crowds and reviews. My boss, Janine, had hinted at a potential promotion. "You have a gift for spotting talent, Gloria," she told me after the successful opening. "We're lucky to have you." That validation meant everything to me, especially as I watched my personal life take a back seat to my cousin's romantic success. My apartment became my sanctuary. Walls adorned with prints and originals I'd collected over the years, shelves lined with art books and family photographs reminding me of happier times. I had worked hard for this life and took pride in building it independently. If only I had known how quickly it could all come crashing down. The first hints of trouble appeared so subtly that I almost missed them. 6 months into Amanda and Tyler's engagement, I noticed changes in their dynamic at family gatherings. Amanda became increasingly possessive, her hand always clutching Tyler's arm, her eyes tracking his movements across rooms. During a Sunday dinner at my parents' house, Tyler stepped onto the patio for some air. I was already outside enjoying a moment of quiet away from the family chaos. He seemed startled to find me there, but then relaxed. "Wedding planning is more intense than preparing for the bar exam," he joked, loosening his collar. "Amanda wants everything perfect," I replied. "It's important to her." Tyler sighed, leaning against the railing. "Sometimes I wonder if it's the wedding she's excited about, or the marriage itself." The comment caught me off guard. "Pre-wedding jitters are normal," I assured him. "Have you talked to Amanda about how you're feeling?" "Talking to Amanda lately is like navigating a minefield," he admitted. "One wrong word and—" He mimicked an explosion with his hands. Before I could respond, the patio door slid open and Amanda appeared, her smile tight. "There you are. My mother is asking about the seating chart again." Tyler straightened immediately. "Just getting some fresh air with Gloria." Amanda's eyes flickered between us. "How convenient." The comment carried an edge that left me unsettled, but I dismissed it as wedding stress. Over the following weeks, however, I noticed Amanda becoming increasingly cold toward me. She declined my calls, responded to texts with one-word answers, and found excuses to reschedule our planned shopping trip for her wedding shoes. At another family dinner, I witnessed a tense moment between the engaged couple. Tyler's phone chimed with a text, and Amanda immediately reached for it. He pulled away, tucking the phone into his pocket. "Private client matter," he explained. "At 8 on a Saturday." Amanda questioned, her voice honey-sweet, but her eyes hard. Later that evening, Tyler approached me in the kitchen where I was helping my mother with dessert. "Gloria, can I ask your advice about something?" His voice was low, concerned. "Of course," I replied, slicing the tiramisu. "Amanda's been different lately, suspicious, checking my phone, questioning where I've been. I don't know how to reassure her without feeling like I'm under surveillance." I set down the knife, giving him my full attention. Weddings can bring out insecurities. Maybe she's feeling pressured about everything being perfect. "It's more than that," he insisted. "Sometimes I feel like she's looking for problems where there aren't any." "You need to talk to her directly," I advised. "Be honest about how her behavior is affecting you. Clear communication is the only way through this." Tyler nodded thoughtfully. "You're right. You're always so level-headed, Gloria. Amanda could learn from you." I didn't notice Amanda standing in the doorway until she cleared her throat loudly. The look she gave me was glacial. "Learning from Gloria about what exactly?" she asked, approaching us with measured steps. "About the gallery business," Tyler answered smoothly. "Gloria was telling me about an upcoming exhibition." Amanda didn't appear convinced, but my mother called everyone for dessert, temporarily diffusing the tension. In the following weeks, I began noticing subtle changes in how other family members treated me. My mother, usually warm and affectionate, became distant. Phone conversations that once lasted an hour were cut short with excuses about errands or appointments. My father, my greatest champion, seemed confused and uncomfortable around me. His usual bear hugs replaced with awkward pats on the shoulder. At a cousin's birthday celebration, I entered the kitchen to find my Aunt Teresa and mother in deep conversation that abruptly halted when they saw me. "Gloria, I didn't hear you come in," my mother said, her smile not reaching her eyes. "Is everything okay?" I asked, sensing the tension. "Of course, dear. Just wedding talk," Aunt Teresa replied, exchanging a look with my mother that sent warning signals through me. Later that evening, I overheard my name mentioned in a hushed conversation between my father and his brother. When I rounded the corner, they immediately changed the subject to baseball statistics. Something was happening, something involving me, but I couldn't identify what. The growing coldness from my family left me confused and increasingly anxious. I reviewed my recent interactions, searching for any offense I might have committed, but found nothing that warranted such a shift. I tried addressing it directly with my mother during a quick lunch near her workplace. "Mom, is something wrong? Everyone's acting strangely around me lately." She stirred her soup slowly, avoiding my eyes. I don't know what you mean, Gloria. Everything's fine. It doesn't feel fine. Did I do something to upset the family? She sighed heavily. This isn't the time or place. Let's just enjoy our lunch. That non-answer confirmed my suspicions. Something was definitely wrong, and for some reason no one was willing to tell me what it was. The engagement party at my parents' spacious home should have been a joyous occasion. Instead, it became the stage for my public humiliation and exile from the family I loved. That morning, I had arrived early to help with preparations, despite Amanda's increasingly obvious cold shoulder. My mother accepted my assistance with a stiff politeness that hurt more than outright rejection would have. The flowers need arranging in the dining room, she directed, barely looking at me. I threw myself into the task, creating elegant centerpieces that complemented the sophisticated silver and navy blue color scheme Amanda had chosen. Throughout the day, relatives arrived bearing gifts and excited smiles, many of them giving me strange looks or actively avoiding conversation. By evening, the house was transformed. Twinkling lights adorned the backyard trees. Champagne flowed freely, and Amanda held court in a stunning silver cocktail dress, Tyler loyally by her side. I wore a simple blue dress, intentionally understated to ensure Amanda remained the center of attention. I circulated among guests, making small talk and refilling glasses, trying to ignore the whispers that seemed to follow me. Around 9 o'clock, I retreated to my father's study for a moment of quiet. The constant strain of pretending everything was normal had given me a pounding headache. I was standing by the window looking out at the garden illuminated by string lights when the door opened. Tyler entered, closing the door behind him. He looked tired beneath his polished exterior. "Taking a break from the circus too?" he asked with a weak smile. "Just needed a minute," I replied, maintaining a respectful distance. The tension in the family had made me wary of any interaction with him. "Gloria, I wanted to thank you," he said, moving toward the desk. "Your advice about talking to Amanda helped. Things have been better." "I'm glad," I said sincerely. "You both deserve to be happy." Tyler ran a hand through his perfectly styled hair. "Can I be honest with you? Sometimes I wonder if we're rushing into this. Amanda and I want different things in life, but when I try to discuss it, she changes the subject to wedding details." The conversation was veering into dangerous territory. "Tyler, I don't think I'm the right person to—" "But you are," he insisted. "You're the only one who gives straightforward advice without an agenda. Everyone else is so caught up in this wedding spectacle." "That's not fair to Amanda," I countered. "This is an important day for her, for both of you." "Is it wrong to want a marriage that's more than just an Instagram-perfect wedding?" he asked, frustration evident in his voice. Before I could respond, the door burst open. Amanda stood there, her face contorted with rage, her mother and my mother right behind her. "I knew it!" she screamed, pointing a trembling finger at me. "I fucking knew it!" Tyler stepped away from me immediately. "Amanda, we were just talking. In a closed room at our engagement party." Her voice rose hysterically. "How long has this been going on?" My confusion quickly turned to alarm. "What are you talking about?" "Nothing is going on." Amanda pulled out her phone, thrusting it toward us. "Jessica saw you two sneaking in here and took this through the window. Look at how close you're standing." The photo showed Tyler and me by the window, the angle making it appear as though we were intimately close, though in reality several feet had separated us. "Amanda, you're misinterpreting," I began. "Am I misinterpreting these too?" She scrolled through her phone, showing screenshots of text messages between Tyler and me. I recognized the innocuous exchanges about wedding planning and family dynamics, but taken out of context and presented as evidence, they suddenly seemed suspicious. "Those are completely innocent messages," I protested. By now, other family members had gathered at the doorway, drawn by the commotion. My father pushed through his face a mask of confusion. "What's happening here?" he demanded. Amanda turned to him, tears streaming down her face. "Daddy, Anthony Gloria has been having an affair with Tyler behind my back for months." The accusation hit me like a physical blow. "That's absolutely not true," I gasped. Tyler's response chilled me to the bone. Instead of immediately denying it, he hesitated, then said, "Amanda, you're overreacting. Gloria and I are just friends." His weak defense made the situation infinitely worse. My aunt grabbed Amanda protectively while my mother covered her mouth in shock. "Is this true?" My father turned to me, his eyes filled with a doubt that broke my heart. "No, of course not. Dad, you know me better than that. I would never." "Then why are you alone with him?" Amanda shrieked. "Why do you have private conversations? Why does he confide in you instead of me?" "Because he needed advice about your relationship." I admitted, realizing too late that this truth would only fuel her suspicions. "So you've been discussing our private matters behind my back?" Amanda's voice dropped dangerously low. Perfect Gloria, always thinking she knows better than everyone else. The situation was spiraling out of control. I looked desperately at my parents, expecting them to defend me, to know in their hearts that I was incapable of such betrayal. Instead, my mother was weeping quietly, and my father's face had hardened into an expression I'd never seen before. "How could you do this to your own family?" he asked, his voice strangled. "Dad, please." "I trusted you, Gloria. We all did." The disappointment in his eyes was unbearable. Tyler finally spoke up. "This is getting out of hand. Nothing happened between Gloria and me." But his delayed defense came too late. Amanda was now sobbing dramatically in her mother's arms, the perfect picture of the betrayed bride. "I want her out of here," Amanda declared through tears. "I want her out of my engagement party and out of my wedding." My uncle stepped forward. "Anthony, I think it's best if Gloria leaves." I looked around at the faces of my family, people who had known me my entire life, and saw nothing but judgment and condemnation. None of them were willing to consider my side or question the flimsy evidence presented. "You're all believing this without even hearing me out?" I asked incredulously. My father's next words shattered my world. "Gloria, I think you should go, now. And don't come back until you're ready to tell the truth and apologize to Amanda and Tyler." "Dad, I am telling the truth. There's nothing to apologize for." His face was stone. "Then don't come back at all." My mother sobbed harder, but made no move to defend me. Aunt Teresa and Uncle Frank glared as though I were a stranger who had infiltrated their family. Cousins I had grown up with looked away uncomfortably. In a daze, I grabbed my purse and walked out of the study, through the crowded living room where guests whispered and stared, and out the front door into the cool night air. Not a single person tried to stop me or speak in my defense. As I drove away from my childhood home, I couldn't comprehend what had just happened. In the span of 15 minutes, I had lost my entire family based on a misunderstanding and a cousin's jealous accusations. I never imagined that would be the last time I would set foot in that house for over a year and a half. The days following my public excommunication from the family blurred together in a haze of disbelief and anguish. I called my parents repeatedly, each unanswered call another dagger to my heart. My text messages showed as delivered, but received no response. 3 days after the engagement party, I drove to my parents' house, desperate for a chance to explain. Through the living room window, I could see my mother dusting the mantel. I knocked on the door, hope fluttering in my chest when I saw her turn toward the sound. Our eyes met through the glass. For a moment, I thought I saw her familiar warmth, but then her expression hardened. She turned away and disappeared into another room. Moments later, my father appeared, his face grim. He opened the door just enough to speak. "Gloria, I told you not to come back." "Dad, please, just give me 5 minutes to explain. This whole thing is a misunderstanding." He shook his head. "Amanda showed us everything. The texts, the photos. Your mother can't even look at family pictures without crying. Those texts were completely innocent, and that photo showed nothing because nothing happened. Tyler admitted you two had private conversations, that you discussed their relationship problems. Because he asked for advice as family, as someone who cares about both of them." My father's eyes, so like my own, revealed no softening. "A decent woman doesn't discuss relationship problems with another woman's fiancé. Your mother and I raised you better than that." "Dad," my voice broke. "Until you're ready to admit what you did and make amends, this conversation is over." He closed the door firmly, the soft click of the lock more devastating than if he had slammed it. I stood on the porch where I had played as a child, now an outsider to my own family. The finality of that locked door sent me to my car in tears. As I drove away, I caught a glimpse of my mother watching from the upstairs window, her hand pressed against the glass. Even she, who had defended me through every childhood mishap and teenage rebellion, had abandoned me. The rejection spread like a virus through my extended family. Calls to aunts and uncles went straight to voicemail. Cousins I had been close to blocked me on social media. Even my godmother, who had always doted on me, sent a terse text. "I'm disappointed in you, Gloria. Amanda is devastated." The isolation was total and swift. One by one, friends connected to the family began to distance themselves as well. My childhood friend Sophia, whose mother was close with my aunt, called to tell me she couldn't take sides but thought it best if we took a break from our friendship. "I have to see these people at church every Sunday," she explained apologetically. "I hope you understand." Work became my only sanctuary, though even there concentration proved difficult. I made careless mistakes that Janine noticed but graciously attributed to personal matters. My apartment, once a source of pride, became a prison of memories. Family photographs mocked me from every surface, until one night, in a fit of despair, I gathered them all into a box and shoved it into the back of my closet. 2 weeks after the engagement party, I ran into my Aunt Teresa at the grocery store. My heart leapt at the chance for connection, but when I approached her with a tentative smile, her face froze. "Please don't," she said, raising a hand to stop me. "Amanda is still having panic attacks. The wedding has been postponed by 2 months because of the stress you caused." "Aunt Teresa, none of what she's accusing me of is true. You've known me my whole life. Do you honestly believe I would do something like that?" She adjusted her scarf, avoiding my eyes. "The evidence speaks for itself, Gloria. Tyler confirmed you two had private conversations he kept from Amanda. What were we supposed to think? That maybe, just maybe, your niece of 32 years deserved the benefit of the doubt, that perhaps Amanda misinterpreted something innocent?" "Don't make this worse by lying," she said, turning her card away. "Your father is heartbroken." As she walked away, I stood frozen by the produce section, apples blurring through my tears. The casual cruelty of her dismissal made me realize just how completely I had been cast as the villain in the family narrative. Later that week, a wedding invitation was returned to me in the mail. Across the elegant cream paper, someone had written in red ink, "Uninvited." I recognized Amanda's handwriting. The petty gesture was clearly meant to twist the knife, and it succeeded. I crumpled the defaced invitation and finally allowed myself to feel something beyond hurt anger. Sleep became elusive. I would lie awake replaying the scene in my father's study, thinking of all the things I should have said, the evidence I should have demanded to see. During the day, I moved through life mechanically, going through the motions of normalcy, while feeling completely untethered. My performance at work suffered to the point where Janine called me into her office one Friday afternoon. "Gloria, I've always valued your contribution to the gallery, but lately..." She gestured to a catalog I had prepared with several glaring errors. "This isn't like you. Is there something going on that's affecting your work?" The simple kindness in her inquiry broke through the wall I had built. I found myself telling her everything: the false accusation, my family's rejection, the isolation. To my surprise, she listened without judgment. "That sounds incredibly painful," she said when I finished. "Have you considered talking to a professional about this? This is the kind of trauma that doesn't heal on its own." Her suggestion led me to Dr. Sarah Klein, a therapist specializing in family estrangement. In our first session, I struggled to articulate the depth of my pain. "They chose to believe the worst about me," I said, tissue crumpled in my fist. "Without evidence, without even giving me a chance. How do you recover from that kind of betrayal?" Dr. Klein became my lifeline in the months that followed. Through weekly sessions, I began to process not only the immediate trauma of the false accusation, but deeper patterns in my family dynamics that had set the stage for it. "Your cousin's accusation didn't happen in a vacuum," Dr. Klein pointed out. "You've described a lifelong pattern of competition and resentment from Amanda. This was perhaps her ultimate power move, turning the family against you." As painful as therapy was, it provided a framework for understanding what had happened and tools for surviving it. While my family had discarded me based on flimsy evidence, I was learning that my worth wasn't determined by their judgment. Meanwhile, through mutual acquaintances, I learned that Amanda and Tyler's wedding preparations continued. They had rescheduled for August, apparently having moved past the trauma I had supposedly caused. The news should have hurt, but instead it fueled my determination to rebuild my life without them. 6 months into my family exile, I realized something unexpected despite the continuing ache of rejection I was surviving. The world hadn't ended. I hadn't crumbled into dust. I was wounded profoundly so, but still standing. With the help of therapy and the passage of time, I gradually began reconstructing a life from the rubble of my family's rejection. 6 months stretched into 9, then a full year of estrangement. The acute pain had dulled to a persistent ache that would occasionally flare when triggered by holidays or significant dates. I threw myself into my work with renewed focus. The gallery became more than just a job. It became a lifeline, a place where I was valued for my knowledge and contributions, rather than judged by family politics. Janine, recognizing my dedication, promoted me to senior curator with a substantial raise. "You've been our most valuable asset through the pandemic recovery," she told me during the meeting where she announced my promotion. "This gallery's reputation has grown because of your eye for emerging talent." The professional validation helped restore some of the confidence that had been shattered by my family's rejection. I used part of my raise to begin therapy sessions twice weekly, determined to process my trauma rather than merely survive it, Dr. Klein guided me through exercises to recognize and challenge the negative beliefs I had internalized, that I was unworthy of loyalty, that I must have done something to deserve such treatment, that family love was conditional. "Your family's reaction says more about them than it does about you," she reminded me often. "People who truly know themselves don't rush to judgment without evidence." At her suggestion, I joined a support group for adults experiencing family estrangement. The Wednesday evening meetings in a church basement initially filled me with dread. Admitting the situation publicly felt like confirming my shame. But hearing others' stories of similar betrayals helped normalize my experience. "My family disowned me when I came out," shared Miguel, a soft-spoken teacher. "6 years now, and I've built a chosen family that loves me unconditionally." "My sister accused me of stealing from our mother's estate," said Diane, a woman in her 60s. "The family believed her without even checking the records. It's been 15 years. Their resilience inspired me. If they could rebuild meaningful lives after such profound rejection, perhaps I could too. Outside of work and therapy, I began cautiously forming new connections. A casual conversation with a woman named Natalie at a gallery opening led to coffee, which became a regular Saturday morning ritual. Natalie, an art collector with an infectious laugh and no connection to my family, knew me only as I presented myself without the weight of Amanda's accusations coloring her perception. "Family drama is universal," she said when I finally shared a sanitized version of my situation. "But not everyone makes it their whole identity. I like that about you, Gloria." Her friendship offered something I desperately needed: a relationship untainted by my family's narrative. With Natalie, I could be defined by my passions, opinions, and humor, rather than by the scandal that had engulfed me. As the 1-year anniversary of my exile approached, I made a difficult decision. I would move from my apartment, which was filled with ghosts of my previous life. Every corner held memories of family gatherings, of my parents visiting, of holiday celebrations now lost to me. I found a bright, airy loft in South End, more expensive but worth the fresh start. The process of packing forced me to confront the physical artifacts of my former life. The box of family photos I had hidden away now demanded a decision. After an intense therapy session focused on this very question, I chose to select just 3 meaningful photos to keep visible in my new home. One of my parents on their 30th anniversary, one of my father and me at my college graduation, and one of the entire extended family from a Christmas 5 years earlier. The rest I packed carefully and stored, neither discarding them nor allowing them to dominate my space. "This isn't about erasing your past," Dr. Klein assured me. "It's about creating room for your future." The new apartment became a canvas for reinvention. I painted the walls a soft sage green, hung artwork by local artists I had discovered through the gallery, and furnished it with pieces chosen solely for my own taste, rather than with family approval in mind. For the first time in my adult life, I created personal traditions to replace family ones. When Thanksgiving arrived historically, a massive gathering at my parents' home, I hosted a Friendsgiving for colleagues and new friends who had nowhere else to go. Christmas morning, once spent opening presents in my childhood home, became a peaceful solo ritual of coffee and reading by my small tree, followed by volunteer work at a local shelter. These new traditions didn't erase the pain of what I'd lost, but they provided structure and connection during times when the absence of family felt most acute. At work, a major opportunity arose when the gallery decided to launch a new exhibition series focused on trauma and healing through art. Janine approached me about curating it. "Your sensitivity to emotional nuance would make this exhibit special," she said. "Are you interested?" The project resonated deeply with my personal journey. I spent months researching artists whose work addressed themes of betrayal, resilience, and reconstruction. The process became unexpectedly therapeutic, allowing me to channel my pain into something meaningful and potentially helpful to others. The exhibition, titled "Fractured Piecing Together After Breaking Apart," opened to critical acclaim. Standing in the crowded gallery on opening night, watching visitors engage emotionally with the carefully curated pieces, I felt a sense of purpose I hadn't experienced since before the accusation. "This is extraordinary work," said a prominent local critic, shaking my hand. "There's an authenticity to the curation that's rare." If only he knew how personal it was. Natalie, who had become my closest friend, hugged me tightly that night. "You've created something beautiful from your pain," she whispered. "That's real strength." As my external life stabilized, I continued the internal work of healing. Dr. Klein helped me recognize that while I couldn't control my family's choices, I could choose how to respond to them. "The question isn't whether they'll ever accept you back," she said during a particularly difficult session. "The question is knowing what you know now about their capacity for loyalty. What kind of relationship would you even want with them?" It was a confronting perspective that shifted my focus from yearning for reconciliation to considering what healthy boundaries would look like if reconciliation ever occurred. 18 months after being cast out, I had built a life that, while different from what I had envisioned, contained genuine joy, purpose, and connection. The wound of rejection hadn't fully healed. Perhaps it never would, but it no longer defined every moment of my existence. And then, on an ordinary Tuesday evening, as I was preparing dinner in my new apartment, my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. "Gloria, it's Jason. Your cousin Jason." My heart stuttered at the sound of a family voice after so long. Jason was Amanda's younger brother, always the quiet one at family gatherings. "Jason, why are you calling me?" My voice wavered between hope and wariness. "Because," he said, his voice low and serious, "I know the truth about what really happened, and it's time everyone else did too." Jason's call shattered the fragile peace I had constructed. His revelations, delivered in a rushed, guilty tone, confirmed what I had always known in my heart, but had begun to doubt during the darkest moments of my exile. "Tyler was having an affair," Jason explained, "but not with you. He was sleeping with Stephanie, Amanda's best friend from college." The name hit me like a thunderbolt. Stephanie Morgan had been Amanda's maid of honor, the one who had comforted her most dramatically at the engagement party after my expulsion. "How do you know this?" I asked, sinking onto my couch phone clutched tightly. "I found emails between them on Amanda's laptop. I was helping her with wedding stuff and she asked me to check something in her email. A notification from Tyler popped up with the subject line, 'Missing you.' I shouldn't have opened it, but you did." "Yeah, it was explicit, Gloria, talking about their last meeting plans for the next one. Dates, times, a hotel name. This had been going on for months before the engagement party." My mind raced, pieces falling into place. "So the accusation against me was a diversion," Jason finished. "Amanda found out about Tyler and Stephanie right before the party. Stephanie had threatened to tell Amanda everything if Tyler didn't end their engagement. Instead of confronting them, Amanda decided to create a different villain. Me." The word tasted bitter. "You were the perfect target. Tyler already confided in you, so there were texts and conversations she could twist, and she'd always been jealous of you. The calculated nature of the betrayal made me physically ill. And Tyler went along with it. to save his relationship and reputation. Better to be seen as the victim of temptation than an active cheater. What about the photo from the engagement party? Jason's laugh was hollow. Amanda asked Jessica to watch you two and take photos if you were ever alone. The angle was deliberately misleading. She had the whole thing planned. I pressed my hand against my forehead, trying to process the magnitude of the deception. And the family just believed her, without question. Amanda has always been good at playing the victim, Jason said quietly. And Tyler backed her story enough to cast doubt. I'm sorry, Gloria. I should have spoken up sooner. Why are you telling me this now? Because they're getting married in 3 weeks and I can't watch them build a marriage on this lie. Not after what it did to you. His voice cracked. I saw you at the grocery store last month. You looked right through me like I was a stranger. It hit me how completely we'd cut you out of our lives over a lie. Tears streamed down my face unchecked. Do Mom and Dad know? No one knows except me. And now you. So what do you expect me to do with this information, Jason Storm? The wedding. Send a mass email to the family. I want to help you tell them the truth. All of them. Together. His offer landed like a lifeline thrown after months of drowning. Yet I hesitated, remembering the absolutes of my family's rejection. Why would they believe me now if they didn't, then? Because I have proof. The emails, screenshots, dates that match up with times Tyler was supposedly working late. And because I'll stand with you this time. After we hung up, I sat motionless in my apartment, overwhelmed by possibilities. The vindication I had craved was suddenly within reach, but with it came complicated questions. Did I even want these people back in my life after they had discarded me so easily? Could relationships be rebuilt after such profound betrayal? I called Dr. Klein for an emergency session the next morning. This changes everything, I said, pacing her office. And nothing at the same time. They still chose to believe the worst about me without evidence. Dr. Klein nodded thoughtfully. The truth coming to light doesn't erase the pain of the past 18 months. You're entitled to feel conflicted about reconciliation. Part of me wants to ignore Jason's call to continue building my life without them. Is that wrong? There's no wrong response here, Gloria. This is about what you need, not what your family needs or expects from you. After much reflection, I decided to meet with Jason first. We arranged to meet at a quiet cafe far from family haunts. When I arrived, he was already waiting, looking nervous but determined. I brought the evidence, he said, sliding a folder across the table. The emails were exactly as he had described, explicit exchanges between Tyler and Stephanie spanning months before and after my accusation. Hotel receipts, photos they had sent each other. The depth of the deception was staggering. Amanda knows I have these, Jason admitted. I confronted her last week. She begged me not to tell anyone, especially you. What did she say about what she did to me? Jason looked down at his coffee. She said you'd always had everything easy, that for once you should know what it feels like to lose something. The casual cruelty took my breath away. And she's still marrying Tyler. She says she's forgiven him, that Stephanie was the real seducer. His expression showed what he thought of that rationalization. So, what's the plan? I asked after absorbing this. Family dinner this Sunday at Mom and Dad's. Everyone will be there for wedding preparations. We present the evidence together. The thought of facing my entire family after so long sent panic through me. I don't know if I can do that, Jason. The last time I was in that house, Dad told me never to come back. You'll have me this time, he promised. And the truth. After 3 days of intense consideration and additional therapy sessions, I agreed to Jason's plan. We arranged to arrive together, with him entering first to ensure I wouldn't be turned away at the door. The Sunday of the confrontation arrived warm and sunny, a perfect June day that belied the emotional storm brewing. I dressed carefully in a simple blue dress, professional dignified armor against whatever was to come. Jason picked me up the folder of evidence secure in his messenger bag. Ready? He asked as we pulled up to the familiar house. I nodded, unable to speak. The sight of my childhood home, unchanged except for new flowers in the garden beds, brought a flood of emotions I hadn't anticipated. Jason entered first as planned. I waited in the car, heart pounding, until he texted, Come in. Everyone's in the living room. Walking up the path to the front door felt like crossing a boundary between two lives, my past and the present I had built from its ashes. The door was unlocked. I pushed it open and stepped into the house that had once been the center of my world. Voices from the living room fell silent as I appeared in the doorway. The entire extended family was indeed there. Aunts, uncles, cousins, all frozen in tableaus of shock at my presence. Amanda and Tyler sat together on the love seat, her face draining of color when she saw me. My mother gasped, one hand flying to her mouth. My father stood abruptly, confusion evident in his expression. "Gloria, what are you doing here?" he demanded. Jason moved to stand beside me. "I invited her, because it's time everyone heard the truth." Amanda stood, panic flashing across her face. "Jason, don't do this." "Do what?" my Aunt Teresa asked, looking between them. "Show everyone who the real liar is," Jason replied, removing the folder from his bag. Gloria was never having an affair with Tyler. She was innocent, always was. A murmur ran through the room. My father's brow furrowed deeper. "What are you talking about?" Jason opened the folder and began distributing copies of emails and receipts. "Tyler and Stephanie Morgan have been having an affair since before the engagement. Amanda found out and needed a scapegoat. She chose Gloria." The room erupted into chaos as family members examined the evidence. My mother began to weep. Aunt Teresa confronted Amanda, who had gone deathly pale. Tyler stood straightening his tie nervously. "These emails could be fabricated," he attempted, but his voice lacked conviction. "The hotel has records of your stays," Jason countered. I checked. All eyes turned to Amanda, who looked trapped and desperate. The perfect victim narrative was crumbling around her. "Amanda," my father said slowly, "is this true?" Her composure finally broke. "You don't understand. I found out Stephanie and Tyler were sleeping together right before the engagement party. She was going to tell everyone. I would have been humiliated." "So you decided to humiliate Gloria instead?" my mother asked, her voice barely audible. "It wasn't supposed to go so far," Amanda insisted, tears streaming down her face. "I just needed a distraction until I could figure things out with Tyler. Then everyone took it so seriously and I couldn't take it back without looking worse." "You couldn't take it back." I finally spoke, my voice steadier than I felt. "You watched your entire family disown me over a lie you created, and you say you couldn't take it back." The room fell silent, all eyes now on me. "Do you have any idea what the past 18 months have been like?" I continued. "Being cut off from everyone I loved, having my character assassinated, wondering what I did to deserve such complete abandonment." Amanda looked away, unable to meet my gaze. Tyler took a step toward the door, but was blocked by my Uncle Frank. "You're not going anywhere," he told Tyler. "Not until we get the full truth." My father approached me slowly, his face ashen. "Gloria, I don't know what to say. You believed what was convenient," I interrupted. "What fit the story Amanda wanted to tell? Not once did any of you except Jason eventually question whether it might be false. Not once did you give me the benefit of the doubt." "We're your family," my mother pleaded. "We made a terrible mistake." Family. The word felt foreign on my tongue. Family doesn't discard people based on unproven accusations. Family listens. Family stands by you when the world turns against you. None of you did that for me. Amanda finally looked up, her makeup streaked with tears. "I'm sorry, Gloria. I was desperate and jealous and afraid. I never thought it would go this far." "But you let it," I said simply. "For 18 months you watched me suffer and did nothing." Tyler, realizing the tide had turned irrevocably against him, attempted damage control. "I never explicitly confirmed anything improper between Gloria and me. People just assumed." "You stood there silently while I was accused." I cut him off. "Your silence was confirmation enough." My Aunt Teresa, who had been examining the emails closely, turned to Amanda with disgust. "You made us all complicit in this lie. You used our love for you to punish an innocent person, your own cousin." As the family processed the revelations, expressions changed from shock to shame to regret. One by one, they approached me with tearful apologies. "We should have known better," my Uncle Frank said, unable to meet my eyes. I'm so ashamed, Aunt Teresa whispered. Can you ever forgive us? My father, the man whose rejection had hurt most deeply, stood before me, tears streaming down his weathered face. Gloria, my daughter, I failed you completely. I should have trusted you. I should have known. The apologies continued, each one acknowledging the hurt they had caused, the trust they had broken. Amanda sat alone on the love seat, abandoned even by Tyler, who had retreated to a corner of the room, his engagement effectively over. When everyone had spoken, I took a deep breath and addressed the room. I came here today for one reason: the truth. Not revenge, not reconciliation, just truth. For 18 months, I've lived with your rejection and judgment. I've had to rebuild my life without the foundation I always took for granted: family. That experience has changed me permanently. I turned to my parents. I don't know what happens next. I can't just pretend the past year and a half didn't happen. Trust once broken doesn't mend easily. I need time. My mother nodded through her tears. Whatever you need, however long it takes, we'll be here. I can't make any promises, I told them honestly, but I'm willing to try slowly to rebuild some kind of relationship. On new terms with boundaries, I need to protect myself. As I prepared to leave, Jason walked me to the door. Are you okay? He asked quietly. No, I admitted. But I will be eventually. I hugged him tightly. Thank you for being brave enough to tell the truth. Walking away from that house felt different this time, not an exile, but a choice. The truth had finally come to light, but illumination alone couldn't heal the wounds of betrayal. That would take time, boundaries, and a willingness on all sides to build something new from the rubble of what had been destroyed. As I drove back to my apartment, I felt a curious lightness despite the emotional exhaustion. For the first time in 18 months, I was free from the shadow of false accusation. Whatever came next would be on my terms, shaped by the strength and resilience I had discovered in myself during the darkest period of my life. The truth, as they say, had set me free not just from others' lies, but from my own desperate need for their approval. In the months following the dramatic confrontation at my parents' house, I navigated the complex process of healing and rebuilding relationships on my own terms. The truth had come to light, but that revelation was just the beginning of a longer journey toward forgiveness and redefinition of family bonds. Amanda and Tyler's wedding was canceled, their relationship imploding under the weight of exposed deception. Tyler moved to Chicago for a fresh start, while Amanda retreated from family gatherings, her position as the favored niece irreparably damaged. Stephanie, when confronted by the family, offered a tearful apology before disappearing from our social circle entirely. My first steps toward reconciliation began with my parents. 2 weeks after the confrontation, I agreed to meet them for coffee at a neutral location, a quiet cafe midway between their house and my apartment. The three of us sat awkwardly, 18 months of estrangement, creating a chasm wider than the small table between us. You look well, my mother said, her eyes drinking in my appearance as though memorizing me. Your hair is different. I cut it last year, I replied, touching the shorter style I had adopted during my reinvention. A change seemed appropriate. My father, never comfortable with emotional discussions, cleared his throat several times before speaking. Gloria, I know words aren't enough, but I am profoundly sorry. As your father, I should have believed in you. I should have known Amanda's story didn't align with the daughter we raised. His admission brought unexpected tears to my eyes. That was the hardest part, I confessed. Not just being falsely accused, but having the people who should have known me best believe I was capable of that betrayal. We failed you, my mother acknowledged, reaching tentatively for my hand. I allowed the contact briefly before withdrawing. Is there any way we can begin to make this right? I don't know, I answered honestly. I've spent months in therapy processing the abandonment. I can't just switch those feelings off because the truth came out. They nodded, accepting this reality without protest. Whatever you need, my father said. However much time. We're not going anywhere this time. We established a cautious routine: weekly coffee meetings that gradually extended to occasional dinners. I maintained my boundaries, declining invitations to larger family gatherings until I felt ready. Dr. Klein helped me navigate these tentative reconnections without sacrificing the independence I had fought so hard to establish. Remember, reconciliation doesn't mean reverting to old patterns, she cautioned during a session. You're creating new relationships with these people informed by but not defined by the past. My relationship with Jason deepened into a genuine friendship. He had shown courage when it mattered most, and that counted for everything in my recalibrated value system. We met regularly for hikes along the Charles River, conversations flowing more easily between us than they ever had before the estrangement. I should have spoken up sooner, he admitted during one of these walks, 6 months after the confrontation. I knew something was off about Amanda's story from the beginning. Why didn't you? I asked, not accusingly but with genuine curiosity. He considered the question carefully. Cowardice partly, but also because I'd never gone against the family consensus before. It was easier to go along to assume everyone else must be right. That's how they all felt, I observed. Individual doubts silenced by the collective certainty. Other family members reached out individually, some sincerely remorseful, others clearly uncomfortable with their role in my ostracism but unable to fully acknowledge it. I evaluated each relationship on its own merits, maintaining closer connections with those who showed genuine accountability while keeping others at a comfortable distance. Aunt Teresa, who had been among the most judgmental, made the most earnest efforts at amends. She appeared at my apartment one day with an album she had created documenting family events I had missed during the estrangement. I thought you might want to see what happened while you were gone, she explained, her eyes wet, so there wouldn't be an 18-month hole in your family history. The gesture, thoughtful but painful, exemplified the complex nature of our reconciliation, well-meaning but inevitably marked by reminders of what had been lost. My professional life continued to flourish. The success of the Fractured exhibition led to a series of curatorial opportunities focused on art as a medium for processing trauma. I found unexpected fulfillment in creating spaces for artists whose work spoke to experiences of betrayal, resilience, and reconstruction, themes that had become intimately familiar. Janine, recognizing my unique perspective, supported my vision for a second exhibition titled Prodigal Returns and Recognitions, exploring themes of homecoming and rediscovered identity. The show received national attention, establishing me as a curator with a distinctive voice in the Boston art scene. You've transformed personal pain into universal connection, Janine observed at the opening. That's the essence of great curation. My friendship with Natalie deepened in unexpected ways. Having stood by me through the darkest period, she now celebrated my vindication while helping me maintain perspective about family reconciliation. Just because they know the truth now doesn't mean you owe them immediate forgiveness, she reminded me during a weekend getaway to Cape Cod 9 months after the confrontation. Trust is rebuilt in small moments, not grand gestures. As we walked along the shoreline, our hands brushed accidentally, then intentionally entwined. The relationship that had begun as friendship during my isolation had gradually evolved into something more, a development that felt both surprising and inevitable. I fell in love with who you are, not who your family thought you were, Natalie told me that evening under the stars. The woman who rebuilt herself when everything was taken away. 1 year after the truth emerged, I finally felt ready to attend a full family gathering Thanksgiving at my parents' home. Walking into the house where I had once been publicly humiliated and rejected required every ounce of courage I had developed through therapy and self-reflection. The atmosphere was tentative, everyone hyper-aware of the painful history we shared. Amanda had declined to attend, still unable to face the family she had manipulated. Her absence was simultaneously a relief and a reminder of the irreparable fractures her deception had caused. During dinner, my father stood to offer a toast. Today we give thanks for second chances and for truths that, however painful, set us free. Gloria. He turned to me, voice thick with emotion. Having you back at this table is the greatest blessing this family could ask for. The gathered relatives raised their glasses, murmuring agreement. I acknowledged their gesture with a nod, emotions too complex for simple expression. Later, as dishes were being cleared, my mother found me alone in the kitchen. Are you okay? She asked softly. Being back here must be difficult. It's strange, I admitted. The last time I was in this house for a family gathering, I left in disgrace. The memories don't just disappear. She nodded, eyes filling with tears. I wake up every morning thinking about how we failed you, how I failed you as a mother. Mom, I said gently, I've spent hundreds of hours in therapy processing what happened. One thing I've learned is that dwelling endlessly on past mistakes prevents moving forward. I'm trying to build a new relationship with you and Dad, not recreate what we had before, because that's impossible. What can we do? She asked simply. Keep showing up, I told her. Respect my boundaries. Understand that trust returns gradually, not all at once. And recognize that I'm not the same Gloria who left this house 18 months ago. I've changed in ways that are permanent. That Thanksgiving marked a turning point in my healing journey. I had faced the scene of my greatest pain and reclaimed it on my own terms. The family dynamics had been irrevocably altered, not just between me and them, but among all the members who had participated in my ostracism. 2 years after the false accusation, I agreed to meet Amanda at her request. We sat in a quiet corner of a restaurant far from family territory, the weight of our history making small talk impossible. I don't know where to begin, she said after our drinks arrived. Sorry seems inadequate for what I did to you. Why did you do it? I asked. The question had haunted me despite all the explanations and theories. Beyond the immediate circumstances, why was I your target? Amanda stared into her glass. Because you were everything I wanted to be but couldn't. Confident. Respected. Authentic. When I discovered Tyler's betrayal, something in me snapped. If I couldn't have the perfect life, why should you have everything intact? Her honesty, however painful, offered closure I hadn't realized I needed. I never had everything, Amanda. I had struggles you didn't see because you were too busy comparing our outsides. I know that now, she said quietly. Therapy has helped me see how my insecurity poisoned everything. I don't expect forgiveness, Gloria. I just wanted you to know that I understand the magnitude of what I did. We parted with no promises of reconciliation, but with a mutual acknowledgement of truth, a foundation however fragile for potential healing in the distant future. As for my own path forward, I continued building a life defined by my choices rather than others' perceptions. Natalie and I moved in together, creating a home filled with art, laughter, and authentic connection. My relationship with my parents stabilized into something new, more adult, more measured, but ultimately more honest than before. The gallery promoted me to director of special exhibitions, allowing me to develop programming that explored the intersection of art psychology and human resilience. My personal experience had given me insight into how art could facilitate healing after profound betrayal, knowledge I now used to create meaningful experiences for others. 3 years after the accusation that shattered my world, I stood at the opening of my most personal exhibition, yet vindicated art after accusation. The show featured works by artists who had experienced false allegations, wrongful imprisonment, and eventual exoneration. My parents attended the opening along with Jason, Natalie, and select family members who had earned their way back into my life. As I gave my curator's talk, I concluded with a personal reflection. When false accusation strips away your reputation and relationships, you discover what truly belongs to you, your integrity, your resilience, and your capacity to rebuild. The truth eventually came to light in my story, but the most important truth wasn't about clearing my name. It was about discovering my own strength when everything familiar was taken away. The journey from that devastating engagement party to this moment of professional triumph and personal peace had been long and painful. Some relationships had been permanently lost, others transformed, and new ones created from the ashes of the old life. I had learned that family could be both a source of deepest wound and potential healing. That forgiveness was possible without forgetting. That truth, however delayed, had the power to set right what deception had destroyed. Most importantly, I had discovered that when everything external was stripped away, reputation, relationships, family identity, what remained was the essential self, unbreakable and capable of building anew. The truth had indeed come to light, but the light I had found within myself during the darkness, that was the illumination that truly mattered. Have you ever been falsely accused of something? How did you handle it? I'd love to hear your experiences in the comments below. If my story resonated with you in any way, please hit the like button and subscribe to hear more journeys of healing and resilience. And remember, your truth matters even when no one else believes it yet. Thank you for listening to my story, and may you always find the strength to stand in your own light.